All right, eighth graders, it's Mr. A. I am just going to record a mini lesson for square roots and cube roots because this is one of the concepts in the beginning few lessons scheduled that we have not seen yet in class nearly at all, except for the last couple of days. So, what I plan to do is I'm going to kind of give a little background, go over a couple of the harder questions in the workbook, just to kind of help guide you guys get the right answer. All right, for square roots, remember square roots, um, we can think of the actual square shape and its area. So let's just say I have an area of 30. But I wanted to know what the side lengths were. And this is a square, so each of the side lengths are going to be the same. So I wanted to know what x is. Well, I know that x times x is going to give me 30, right? And I know that multiplying the same thing twice, we can write it like this, x times x, or we can write it like x squared, right? So we know that x squared equals 30. And this is actually example 2 in the workbook. And we're going to try to figure out what x is, just our side length. So the square root would be the side length of a square. It's the root of a square. That's why it's called a square root. And it looks like this, square root. Well, to get rid of an exponent of 2, a power of 2, we can take the square root of each side. Remember, when solving equations, we can do the same thing to both sides to simplify it. Well, if I'm trying to get x by itself, I'm going to take the square root of x squared, which is just x. And I'm also going to take the square root of 30. So I'll get x equals the square root of 30. So I know the side length equals the square root of 30, but I really don't know how long that is exactly. It's not a perfect square, which means I would get a regular integer like 25. If my area is 25, I know that each side length would be 5, because 5 times 5 equals 25. So to find out what the square root is, I have to think of something times something will get me that 30. Okay? Something times something will get me 30. Well, let me write it like this. Something times something is going to give me that 30. And once I find that something is, that will be our answer. So let me think. I used 5, but I know that's not quite 30. I know that 5 times 5 is equal to 25. And let's just go up one more. Let's go up one more, because we know that this is less than 30 is. So let me do 6 and 6. And that'll give me 36. So now we have something too low, because we're trying to get 30. Remember, we have something too low and something too high. So we know it's going to be somewhere in between our 5s and our 6. Is 30 closer to 25, or is it closer to 36? Well, 30 is closer to 25, so I know that my answer is going to be closer to 5. So I know that the square root of 30 is 5 point something. So I'm going to write about 5, and that's how we would estimate our square root. You can go even further and start multiplying decimals, so like see 5.1 and then 5.9 squared, and see where those get you, and then keep on narrowing it down into the decimals. But for right now, I'm just going to stick with our answer of the integer 5. So the square root of 30 is about 5. So what did we do here to figure out what the square root was? We took two numbers that were the same, two integers, to get what was in the square root. So if we had the square root of 30, I need to find two numbers that multiply together to get 30. So when you're dealing with square roots, you only do two numbers. In a second, I'm going to post a mini lesson about cubed roots.